Man, the news never stops rolling in, and this Netflix Warner Brothers Paramount deal is looking like more of a circus show by the day. I got news on that whole situation, and I'm also going to look at what AEW needs to do to implicate themselves in a positive way. Also, is WWE intentionally erasing their own history? I'm going to look at why that might be and where their extensive library might be headed. Might surprise you, might not. We'll see. Thank you so much for joining me here on this Wednesday, December 10th. My name is LSW. Let's hop into this. All right, we got an update on the Warner Brothers Discovery sale. So obviously, a few days ago, Netflix put up a sizable bid for Warner Brothers' IP assets. However, all of Hollywood saw right through their game. They saw it for what it was. They saw it as being a blatant attempt at monopolizing Hollywood. It was a clear overconsolidation of IP, and because of that, it's now facing heavy pushback from all the right people. So now Paramount is launching a hostile takeover of the deal and is going directly at shareholders with $108.4 billion. That's billion with a B. Not only does Paramount want Warner Brothers Discovery's streaming assets, but they also want their TV networks, meaning AEW is more aggressively implicated in this. Before, Netflix only wanted their streaming assets, meaning they only wanted HBO Max and everything with it. But here, we have Paramount coming in, and they want their streaming assets and their TV networks. But that's not where it ends, because it gets even crazier. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav ghosted Paramount's David Ellison just hours before the news broke that Netflix was buying Warner Brothers. On December 4th, following Paramount's submission of a bid to the Warner Brothers Discovery board, Ellison sent the following text to Zaslav. He says, quote, "Just trying to call you about the new bid we have submitted. I heard you on all your concerns and believe we have addressed them in our new proposal. Please give me a call back when you can to discuss in detail." So now we have these billionaires beefing like middle schoolers. It's very passive aggressive. It's very behind each other's backs. It's very gossipy. And I know that if I'm Tony Khan, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to deal with either of these guys. But I might have to. Because come 2027, people like David Ellison, the Netflix CEO, Zaslav, who he won't really be involved in this, but people like them, they're not going to look at things that us fans should be looking at. They're going to look at the numbers. So me personally, as a fan, I don't look at ratings. I don't like ratings. I think they're kind of meaningless, just kind of a meaningless way for people to further their agendas. And so for that reason, I tend to stay away from them. However, my subjective way of looking at wrestling as an art form is not how these suits are going to look at it. David Ellison is not going to be looking at wrestling and saying, well, AEW, Dynamite, Collision, they've had some pretty solid angles and programs recently, so I'll give them a new deal. They're going to look at ratings. And the reality is AEW's been down. They've been in the 400,000s, 500,000s, 600,000s. I don't like to bring it up because I am an AEW fan, but it's the truth. AEW's numbers have just been down, and those are the numbers that people like David Ellison will be looking at. I don't know which way this is going to shake out. I don't know who is going to get Warner Brothers Discovery's assets, whether it's just going to be the streaming assets or whether it's going to be the streaming assets and then some, so the TV networks as well. I don't know. But like I said in my last podcast, I do know that this whole thing is bigger than professional wrestling. It's a lot bigger than professional wrestling, in fact. I'm not even going to go over the fact that David Ellison is extremely tight with Donald Trump. And likely any deal that goes through will have to go through Donald Trump. I mean, that's just not even within my scope. I'm also not going to talk much about the breakup fee that Netflix will have to pay if the deal goes through to Paramount. There's just so many implications that you have to balance here. And me, as a wrestling podcaster going over it all, is completely above what I'm capable of. It's out of my scope. It's out of my reach. But what can I do? Well, like I said, come 2027, AEW is going to have to peak at the right time And they are going to have to shore up a lot of aspects about their promotion currently, which are just not where they need to be, if we're completely honest. And so as much as I like to compliment AEW and what I see, and as much as I like to enjoy AEW, I also will constructively criticize them when it's needed. And there are several aspects of their product that deserve constructive criticism. What does AEW need to fix? There are several aspects. They have more than enough time to do this before 2027. The women's division is consistently shafted. It is built around two women, and two women only, that being Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm. Now, those are very, very talented women, but you mean to tell me that we can't get something else going with, say, a Willow Nightingale? You mean to tell me that there's nobody else? Athena? Why is Athena still in Ring of Honor? I don't understand. Chris Statlander's a bit of an adjacent character right now, and so I'd love to see her get involved more consistently. I'd like to see her stay in this spot because we need bigger players. We need less of an ensemble. We need more of an ensemble cast for the women. Let's involve more names, okay? Don't have it revolve around the same two women at every month of the year. Women like Willow Nightingale, man, they're criminally underutilized. There's no reason for Willow Nightingale to be sitting on the same spot on the card that she was a year ago, year and a half. Like, she hasn't really moved up the card from my point of view. She hasn't really shifted. She hasn't really evolved up the card. That's an issue because she's so talented. She has so much personality and she's so charismatic that if you really wanted to, you could build an entire women's division around her. She could be your ace, yet they refuse to do it. Tony refuses to truly pull the trigger on Willow Nightingale, and I'm hoping that that's something we're going to fix in 2026 because I'm a huge Willow Nightingale fan. I think she is fantastic, and I think they really need to move with her. Man, creative and outside of one title program is also extremely, extremely weak. You look at the build-up to All In. It was basically one women's program. It was Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm, which, by the way, was incredibly, incredibly flimsy in terms of a build. But you look at that program and you look at everything surrounding it, everything that was happening around that program, and there wasn't much. Every other woman just got kind of moved down the card. Where was Athena? Why is it that it's really just one big women's program and that's kind of the extent of it? I don't understand it. Week to week angles. This goes for the men and the women. They receive minimal attention and they often feel very tonally similar. So when I say tonally, I mean like the tone feels similar, you know? It doesn't feel like they shift up what they're going for very often in those angles. The scope and horsepower put into this division just needs to be expanded. You look at how many women's matches are being booked on a Collision or a Dynamite on any given week. It's not many, and it's certainly not proportional to the men. And you look at the pay-per-views, and you look at some of the ways that women are featured on the pay-per-views, and there's often maybe two matches at most that you're like legitimately looking forward to that involve women, because most of the other matches that involve women, it might be two more, are just completely half-baked and half thrown together. And so it leaves you wanting more from a division that, let's face it, has a lot of talent, and a lot of talent that they can use, but talent that they are not using. You look at Hangman Adam Page's reign, and you look at it in the context of who he was facing, and you look at month by month, program by program, angle by angle. He faced Jon Moxley at All In. That was the end of that. Then at All Out, he faced Kyle Fletcher, beat Kyle Fletcher, incredible match. Then we were done with that. Once we finished with Kyle Fletcher, Tony Khan was left at a dead end. Once he faced Kyle Fletcher, he couldn't face anyone else from the Don Callis family. And because of that, a lot of the heels were off limits. Takeshita, who's more of a babyface, really. Okada, I don't know. Any other heel you can think of was pretty much off limits because they were either in the Death Riders or they were either in the Don Callis family. If you were to take somebody like Pac, and if he were to be his own act on weekly television as a heel, you could have set him up for someone like Hangman. And let's say, I would have been down for that program. That would have been an excellent program, and that would have been an incredible match. But because he's in the Death Riders, you can't really go back to that because that further involves Hangman with Jon Moxley. All of this is an issue. Because once we got to the Samoa Joe feud, what did Tony Khan have to do? He had to turn Samoa Joe to buy them TV and to buy them a feud. They didn't have any heels, so they had to turn somebody. That is a sign of a weird and backwards heel to face ratio on the roster. It's a mistake that Tony Khan brought upon himself, and it kind of tanked Hangman Adam Page's reign. I think generally speaking, the Don Callis family and the Death Riders have been positive acts on the show, but I do also feel like they contribute to the landscape of AEW feeling like what it is. The landscape feels very samey. It feels very similar. And because of that, it leaves the television, it leaves the Dynamites, and it leaves the Collisions feeling underwhelming at times. How many times have we seen Don Callis come out with a mic and talk about how great Kyle Fletcher is? How many times have we seen the same Death Riders angles time after time after time after time? I mean, it's a bit repetitive, man, and it all contributes to an exhausted landscape that needs some reshaping. On top of that, the main event scene is very, very limiting. And it's felt like it's been in the same general area code for several months, about a year now. It just doesn't feel like we've shifted away from this general feeling, this general region, and we need to get away from it. I'd like to see them put the title on Eddie at Winter is Coming. That's not going to happen. Further than that, I'd like to see them a rematch maybe at World's End, and then you put the title on Eddie at World's End. I don't think that's going to happen either. Another thing, why is Hook involved in the men's main event scene? I don't understand why Hook is what they've decided to go with as like the big up-and-comer. Hook couldn't motivate me to make a sandwich. So I don't understand why Hook is in the big heel faction and he's like factoring into large main event plans, broad main event program plans. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't connect with Hook. Hook doesn't speak to me in that way. Feels stuck in the same region. We got to get out of that region. All of this, everything I just mentioned, would yield the results AEW needs to land the type of TV deal they need in 2027. With all these wackos in charge. David Zaslav, the Netflix CEO, I don't even know his name, Netflix CEO, David Ellison, all of them. Everything I've just listed would give AEW the means to get there. Can they get there? Can they get that TV deal? I don't know. They're going to have to shore all these things up. They're going to have to earn it. But time will tell. We will see. I'm not even going to begin to make a prediction on who will get the Warner Brothers Discovery IP because I don't know. There's no way to know. It's way above my scope. It is way above what I do. But I can give you all of this. I can give you all these reasons as to why AEW will need to earn their TV deal in 2027. WWE's library is going to be intentionally erased, or so I think. Sources indicate to Fightful Select that they expect the WWE library to be slowly rolled out on their various YouTube channels. What does this mean? This means that WWE will likely throw out their library over time on the WWE Vault channel. How are they going to make money from this? Well, they can obviously do it the old-fashioned way with ads and stuff like that YouTubers normally make money off of. But it wouldn't surprise me if they price it at about $9.99 behind a membership wall. Like, it really wouldn't shock me if what they ended up going for here was, we're going to put all not the entire library. I'll get to that in a second, but it wouldn't surprise me if they say, we're going to put the library behind a paywall, a members-only paywall on YouTube, on the WWE Vault channel. You got to pay $9.99 to access it. So it essentially functions as the network. It is the network, except on so many levels, it's not. How is it not the network? Well, it's not the network because it's not a self-serve streaming buffet of any wrestling from any era, from any region you want to watch. It is limited. Why is it limited? Because WWE can selectively decide when they want to upload things, how they want to upload it, and what they want to upload. They decide what you see. Meaning, they decide what narrative will fit them best. They can rewrite their own history if they want. They can erase certain parts of their own history from time, from our memories, from everyone's memories. I mean, we won't forget, but generations ahead will forget because there's going to be no footage to prove that it happened. This is obviously horrible. Obviously, this is horrible. If WWE does put their library on their YouTube channel, aka WWE Vault, this means that they will be able to control the narrative even more than they already do. And I think they control the narrative to a pretty noticeable degree already, because how many people online do you see just barfing up everything WWE says, regurgitating WWE's corporate sludge? How many people do you see doing that online? I mean, WWE already has a decent handle on the narrative, I think, even though there are a lot of corners on the internet. I mean, it's diversified, right? There are a lot of corners on the internet that just do not buy anything of what WWE says, and there are a lot of people who just buy into everything they say. So there are diverse perspectives on it, but this gives them the opportunity for decades and decades down the line, if this happens, to control history. I mean, it sounds so dystopian and kind of unbelievable, but these are the harsh implications of what could happen. If this happens, they could control how generations ahead of us perceive wrestling and wrestling history. I know that sounds extreme, but you just got to walk with me here. In the 2050s or 2060s or whatever, kids who are growing up on wrestling, will they even know about the territories? I mean, I don't know if WWE is even going to reference them. Why would they? They hardly reference the territories today. So why would they reference them in 40 years? This is how history gets rewritten. This is how we get revisionist history. This is how stuff starts to become foggy. This is how disinformation spreads. This is how people get misinformed. And this is how uneducation spreads. If every generation is more uneducated than the one before them, that's how a medium starts to lose its way. That's how wrestling would begin to lose its way. If every generation after the next is less educated than the one before it, that can't be good. This could be how it starts. I know it sounds extreme. I know it sounds very dystopian, but you gotta just walk with me, man. They hardly ever reference things like the territories. And so how would those territories and evidence of those territories live on if WWE isn't willing to preserve them? Something to think about. Saturday night's main event is this Saturday. It is a clinic in matchmaking, man. This is John Cena's card. Make no mistake about it. So if anyone wants to go off and say, oh, Triple H cooked, or they want to defend Triple H or whatever, you can, but just know it's not right. This is John Cena's card. He put this together. A creative went up to John Cena and they said, hey, John, what do you want your final show to look like? And this is what he put together. That was what's been widely rumored, speculated, reported. And so the card we have is Sol Ruca versus Bayley, Javon Evans versus Leon Slater. Javon Evans and Leon Slater versus AJ and Dragon Lee, AJ Styles. Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes, and Gunther versus John Cena in John Cena's final match ever. This is an awesome card. It is very, very dynamic. There's a lot of promise here, and there are a lot of roads that you can narratively set yourself up for if you play your cards right. I'll jump into that. Let's start with Sol versus Bayley. This is going to be an awesome match. I'm very, very encouraged that they're running this match, and I'm very, very encouraged that they see Sol Ruca in a very positive way. I think Bayley will win. I expect her to win. But Sol Ruca is supremely, supremely talented. She has that Soul Snatcher finisher. It looks great most of the time. It looks awesome. It all depends on the person taking that move, right? I've seen a lot of people raise their concerns with the Soul Snatcher. They say, oh, it looks too fake. It looks too coordinated and choreographed. I understand that, and they are right to some extent, because the person taking it sometimes leans into the Soul Snatcher. So Sol Ruca will come off the ropes, and then the person taking it will lean into it and basically take the front face bump for her. So that's obviously an issue, but it has nothing to do with the move itself or her creativity. I think it's a great move, but I expect Bayley to win. I'm interested to see what Bayley can get out of Sol Ruca. And yeah, this is just a great match. And keep in mind, you couldn't do this match if Bayley was still doing her split personality stuff. You can only do this match since they gave that up and since they dropped that whole angle. So I'm very, very happy they did that, and very excited to see what these two can do. Next, we got Javon Evans and Leon Slater versus AJ and Dragon Lee. This is one of the most dynamic matches WWE have ran all year. This is one of, on a matchmaking level, this is one of the most exciting matches that WWE have ran all year. Javon Evans and Leon Slater are the absolute truth, man. They are the future. They are incredible. They are so dynamic. They are so quick, so springy, so explosive. And I am so, so excited to see what they can do on such a big stage in front of so many people where it'll just be a giant showcase for them. And I'm really, really excited for them to show everyone what they can do. I expect Dragon Lee and AJ Styles to retain, make no mistake about it. But Javon Evans and Leon Slater are just insane. And if you have never seen them wrestle, you're going to be in for an incredible treat on Saturday night. These two are truly great. And so I can't wait for a lot of casual fans to get their eyes on them. A lot of people have been exposed to Javon Evans. A lot of casual fans, just a lot of fans in general have seen Javon Evans. He's been on NXT, obviously. Leon Slater, though, I think there are some people who haven't seen Leon Slater, and he is tremendous. Both these two, they wrestle with such personality. They wrestle with such just spunk, and I love them, man. They're going to be big deals in the future. So very, very excited. Next, we got Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes. Now, a few days ago, I saw a very, very interesting discourse online about who should win this match. Should it be Obafemi? Should it be Cody Rhodes? Obviously, you've had some Cody haters saying it should be Obafemi. Obafemi should win. Cody shouldn't win. And for the record, I actually agree. I think Obafemi should win. However, not for the reason because I hate Cody Rhodes. It's actually for a much different reason. Cody Rhodes is awesome. And he's the kind of guy who I think would put over Obafemi. He's also the kind of guy who in kayfabe could believably lose to Obafemi. Obafemi could believably beat most members of the roster. So him beating Cody Rhodes, preferably clean, is something I would absolutely go for. Oba should win. And in doing so, what do you set yourself up for here? Well, you set yourself up for a very creatively interesting path you can go down, specifically after WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes is going to defend his title at WrestleMania against whoever, I don't know, but he will defend and he'll probably lose that belt. After WrestleMania, he's going to be looking for creative. He's going to have a bit of a blank slate. What do you give him? Who better than the person who pinned him in December, Obafemi? You go straight into a program with Obafemi and Cody Rhodes, and they fight it out. Maybe you blow it off at SummerSlam. I don't know. It's just a thought. I think it would do a lot for Obafemi when you officially bring him up from the main roster. Obviously, he is NXT champion, so it's going to be a minute probably after WrestleMania until he officially gets called up. But I think this has a great potential, amazing opportunity to set yourself up for some really interesting paths you can go down. So they should take that opportunity, man. Obafemi is tremendous. And you look at someone like Cody Rhodes, who I think would be willing to put him over and would obviously be a believable loser to Obafemi. You know, it's believable that Obafemi could beat Cody Rhodes. So Oba should win, and they should absolutely take this opportunity to set themselves up for something after WrestleMania. Next, we got Gunther versus John Cena in John Cena's final match ever. I gotta say, man, it is a real shame that we haven't been able to get programs of this caliber all year long from John Cena. The type of stuff we've been seeing from Gunther and John Cena has just been scintillating. It has been incredible. Gunther cut a promo on Raw, I think this past Monday, where he said he's going to make John Cena tap out. It was scintillating, man. It was aggressive. It was ferocious. Gunther is a ferocious heel. These two were made for each other. Gunther was born to retire John Cena. There's no one better. The dynamic that they have is absolutely pristine. It is picture perfect. Nothing is better than it. It is the heroic heel, the heroic babyface in his final hour going up against the ferocious heel who wants to end it all for him. And that dynamic, that narrative that they're setting up is just so moving. And I cannot wait to see how these two convey that in the ring. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Gunther is going to pass out John Cena. But it will happen after they tease that John Cena will tap out several times. They will tease it and tease it and tease it until John Cena lives true to his slogan and he never gives up. He will pass out instead of tap out. He will not give up. And that slogan will be made apparent straight to Gunther's face on Saturday night. I cannot wait to see how they convey this dynamic and how they tell their story in the ring. Surprisingly enough, I've seen a lot of people saying that John Cena should win. I don't understand that. If John Cena wins, I don't know what the point of putting Gunther in this match was. He's already had a rotten 2025 on a creative level. And so you put him in this match just to have him lose to a 40-some-year-old John Cena? No, he already tapped out to Jey Uso at WrestleMania. You don't need to do much more damage to him this year. Have him win, have him pass John out. Gunther goes over, John Cena rides into the sunset. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Please do leave a like and subscribe. It would help me grow this show, grow my channel. Let's get a conversation started in the comments. How do you feel about all of this? Who do you want to see win the Saturday Night's Main Events matches? How do you feel about that card? How do you feel about WWE potentially erasing their own history and rewriting their own narrative? How do you feel about all that? And also, Paramount, Netflix, Warner Brothers Discovery, how do you feel about that entire clown show? I want to hear it all in the comments down below. I want to get a conversation started with you. And yeah, that's going to do it for me. I'll see you guys in my next one. Have a good one.